Okay, good Sunday morning, everybody. I'm local 24 meteorologist Trevor Birchett. We are going to go ahead and break into some programming here. We have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued now for Memphis and the Mid-South. We have this strong line of storms now that's over in eastern Arkansas, just getting ready to cross over the river. And for the last several hours, we've been telling you that we've got the chance for some strong storms out there. And it looks like that is just beginning to cross the river right now. We have two severe thunderstorm warnings that are currently in effect. One of those is going to go for our friends over in eastern Arkansas. Let's get a look at that. Let's see here. There we go. So that severe thunderstorm warning is going to go until 12:45 this morning. That's going to be for Mississippi, Poinsett, northern Crittenden. And then we've got this new severe thunderstorm warning that's just been extended for a good chunk of western Tennessee. That's going to include Lauderdale, Haywood, Tipton, much of Fayette, and Shelby, and the city of Memphis. So that is going to go until 1:15. So we're going to be with you here for the next little bit, just keeping an eye on these storms as they go ahead and cross the river. We are going to put a track on this. We can give you an idea of exactly where this thing is going to go. These things are moving decently quickly compared to what we saw yesterday. We had storms that were kind of sitting in the same spot, for hours on end, and that led to some flash flooding. These are moving a little bit quicker, but we still have the flash flooding concern in many spots. Let me put a storm track on this for you. These are moving at about 35 miles an hour. So that is going to take it. Let's see there. Let's try that one more time. See if this storm track will cooperate with me. There we go. We're just going to take it right up from there. And again, this is moving to the southeast at about 35 to 40 miles an hour. And so that is going to put it crossing the river pretty soon. So Ripley by about 12:49, Munford by 12:51, and Atoka by 12:54. Now, the main threat with these storms, I want to tell you, we're not concerned about a tornado potential. We're not concerned about anything crazy like that, at least right now. The concern with these storms is damaging wind gusts, very heavy rain, and lightning. Now, I will tell you the lightning has come down a little bit on these storms over the last hour or so. These storms were really packing a punch up north of Jonesboro, but now that they're getting a little bit closer to the river and starting to cross into western Tennessee, these storms seem to be losing a little bit of their punch. But again, they've still got 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and that's why we're on the air with you right now, because as these things cross the river, it could easily take down some trees and power lines and cause power outages. Now's a great time to remind you, go ahead and download that Local 24 News app. It's totally free for Apple and Android, and you can watch our live stream there. And you'll also get a weather alert to your phone if anything is issued for your location. Right now, these are the only warnings we have in effect. It's for Mississippi, Poinsett, Crittenden counties, and then basically all of our West Tennessee counties under that severe thunderstorm warning as these storms continue to cross the river. But again, there's your times of arrival. Atoka by about 12:54, and that's going to put it possibly even into northern Shelby County, Millington, Memphis. You're all included in this severe thunderstorm warning. Let me clear some of this off of here, and we'll zoom in a little bit and give you an idea of exactly what is going on with these storms. We haven't gotten many reports out of this. I'm going to keep the National Weather Service chat up here. I'm going to do some multitasking tonight, folks. So just stay with me here. Let's see. So we have no significant reports of wind damage right now. We had a wind gust of about 50 miles an hour up in the Missouri Boot Heel. But that is it with these storms. Now, I'm not saying that's not insignificant. That can still take down some trees and power lines, but just nothing too crazy, nothing we're not used to with these storms. So here's the river right here. I know that's kind of hard to see, but that's the line between Mississippi County and Tipton County and Lauderdale County in western Tennessee. Let's see if we can get that back up here. Let's see here. Again, folks, bear with me. One step at a time. We are going to get through this together. There we go. There's one button on here that I press and it loses all of my data. So if that happens again, just bear with me. We are going to walk you through it, and we are going to kind of walk down this line and just give you an idea. Again, there's the Mississippi River. So you can see this very heavy rain, gusty winds, wind gusts over 60 miles an hour possible. And this is just to the east of Osceola. So there's Osceola. If you're in eastern Mississippi County, you're feeling the rain, you're feeling the wind, and that is slowly crossing east of the river at about 35 to 40 miles an hour. We'll keep walking this thing down here. There's Wilson, Gilt Edge, and Tipton County. You're going to be right up next with that gust of wind and some very heavy rain. And then we will just keep right on going. And now we're in northern Shelby County. So Millington's right here behind me. And that little line you see there, that green line on the radar, that is kind of where the line of storms starts. So that's the gust of wind that's going to come through. And then you get the heavy rain. So you might get a gust of wind before the rain actually starts. And that gust is just now coming in to northern Shelby County. Let's switch over to our velocity mode, and we can do some poking around on this and just see exactly how high these wind speeds are. 38 miles an hour there in western Crittenden County, 29 miles an hour just coming into Shelby County. But again, the radar's not picking up everything. So we've had reports of gusts of 45, 50, and 60 miles an hour. Let's see, just keeping up with what the National Weather Service has to say here. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning for Shelby County goes until 1:15. If you're just waking up with us, if you hear the rain, if you hear the wind, let me tell you, we're not dealing with a tornado threat tonight. We're not worried about that, at least right at this moment. I don't think we're going to be worried about tornadoes tonight. But the gusty winds, the heavy rain, the lightning, and the power outages are going to be a concern. And again, that's why we're with you this morning. Let's see. Let's go back over to our radar mode, and we'll just zoom on out here and give you a better idea of what's going on around the region, because there might be a lot of folks watching saying, well, you know, there's not much going on where I am right now, so not really sure what's going on everywhere else. Let me turn these warnings back on, and I'll show you again that severe thunderstorm warning. Several severe thunderstorm warnings, actually. I've been watching this cell back toward Little Rock. That is possibly going to make it into our region. We're talking Phillips and Lee County in the next little bit. That is packing quite a punch as well. Damaging wind gusts, heavy rain, hail, lightning, all of the above possible. When we turn on our lighting, we'll give you an idea of how much lighting we're seeing. You see those little white dots everywhere, especially back in that Little Rock cell. And that is what we're concerned about, that could cause some power outages overnight tonight. But again, not much going on in North Mississippi. In fact, completely quiet for much of western Tennessee as well. But that line of storms just crossing the river, Ripley, you're about to get it right now. Covington, Atoka, Munford, you're next up in line. And then that storm is just going to kind of work its way down through eastern Arkansas as well. So if you're in Cross County, wind, you're probably seeing some gusty wind right now. And the heavy rain is not too far behind it. We've been telling you for the last several days that we're going to be watching for some storms overnight tonight and into tomorrow. And I told you at 10 p.m. that some of these storms would go to the north of Memphis, some would go to the south, and that looks to be mainly what's happening. But we're just going to be watching these storms here to see, you know, what they can do. The National Weather Service has been saying that depending on how these things work out, they could start to fall apart just a little bit. And so that is some good news. But it hasn't rained a lot in Memphis today. And so that's still a lot of energy in the ground that's evaporating up now that those storms can use to continue to provide some energy. I will say, let me zoom on in here, and we're going to kind of get technical here, but there's really not a whole lot else to talk about other than the technical specifics. The reason I'm with you right now is because we've got gusty winds, we've got heavy rain, we've got the lightning, and it's coming into Shelby County, which is where a lot of folks are waking up wondering what's going on. They've gotten the alert on their phone. So we just like to come on and give you a little peace of mind of what is going on. I want to continue to reiterate, we are not on the air for a tornado warning. We do not currently have a tornado warning, and I don't expect us to have a tornado warning. So if you're kind of worried right now, hey, do I wake up the kids? What do I do? Let them sleep as much as they can. The lightning might wake them up, the thunder might wake them up, but you don't need to get them in their safe place, at least as of right now. Try to get everybody away from windows if you can, but other than that, nothing too crazy going on with these storms. I will say these storms back in Little Rock, we're going to have to watch those moving off to the south and east. Those are going to go to the south of Memphis more than likely. Some of these storms might come right through St. Francis County in the metro. But those look to be packing a little bit more of a punch than even this line of storms is here. Now, what I was saying a second ago, I'm going to get a little technical here, and I'm going to zoom into northern Crittenden County, Earl and Parkin area. And you see that little line right there? There's a green line from Cross County through Crittenden County into Shelby County. That little line you see there, that's what we call an outflow boundary. And that's basically what happens when the storm starts to collapse. So the storm clouds are, 45, 50,000 feet high. At some point they lose their energy and they start to come down. Well, the wind that's in the cloud has to come down with it. And what happens is it hits the ground and rushes out, and it picks up dust and leaves and things, and we can kind of see it on radar. The reason I tell you all that, I know no one really cares, that's really nerdy talk. The reason I tell you that is because when we see something like this, it's a good sign that the storm is trying to weaken. The storm is collapsing. The problem is, in order for the storm to collapse, it's got to let all that wind out. And that's why we have that severe thunderstorm warning for Memphis and Shelby County until 1:15 this morning. And keep in mind, the storm has not even really made it into Shelby County yet. I will say, the strongest winds might honestly be with that outflow boundary I was just telling you about, where that white line is from Earl and Parkin up to the north through Shelby Forest and west of Millington and Munford. That could be your strongest wind, and it could come before the rain. And so don't get caught off guard. If you know somebody that's outside right now, it's still party time on Beale Street and Overton Square. give them a call and let them know, hey, you've got just a few minutes and this thing is going to be coming into the Memphis metro area. We'll do one more storm track. I didn't get Memphis in the last one, so I want to make sure I get Memphis in this next storm track here. Again, these are moving at about 35, 40 miles an hour. National Weather Service continues to say wind gusts of about 60 miles an hour are possible as this storm moves to the east and southeast at around 40 miles an hour. I'm going to track the wind with this storm track. Not necessarily the rain, because the rain might come a few minutes later. But of course, the big focus is when the wind is going to hit, because that's what's going to cause the power outages and that's what's going to cause the further issues. So again, about 40 miles an hour down to the south. That's going to put it into Atoka literally in a minute. Brighton about 12:42, Covington by 12:43. West Memphis by about 12:57, closer to the top of the hour, and then eventually into Lakeland and Arlington areas by the top of the hour. Now that's also going to put it into downtown Memphis by about 1 a.m., 1:05, 1:15, somewhere in that time frame. So if you know someone that is out on Beale Street or downtown or having a late dinner, having a few drinks, give them a call, shoot them a text, tell them to download our app. We'll let them know what's going on because they've got about 40 minutes or so to get inside, get to the car, maybe even get home before this storm makes it on through. Again, if you're just waking up with us, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning that includes several of our counties in eastern Arkansas and western Tennessee. And the culprit is this line of storms here that's just beginning to cross the river. National Weather Service continues to say 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, heavy rain, and lots of lightning going on with these storms as they move on to the east-southeast. Again, there's your times of arrival. West Memphis by about 1 a.m., and then it will cross over into Shelby County and into Memphis by about the same time. I will say, let's put a storm track on this, and we'll kind of give you a lapse over the last hour of what's happened with this storm. And, you know, it doesn't take a meteorologist to show you. Back here in Jonesboro and Craighead County, the colors were a lot brighter, reds, oranges, almost purples. As they get closer to the river, it kind of falls apart just a little bit. And that's what I keep going back to, that outflow boundary that I'm talking about. It's a sign that the storm is trying to weaken, which is fantastic. The sooner you can get to sleep, the sooner I can get to sleep, the sooner these storms weaken. But that's a promising sign. Now, again, that severe thunderstorm warning continues until 1:15. But I have, high hopes that once that warning expires, this storm will continue to weaken as it moves into North Mississippi. And aside from some rain and lightning, hopefully will not cause too many more problems. I'm going to step off the screen here for just a second, and I'm going to check on our other computer and just see if we have any other information that's coming in that I might have missed. But again, what we are on the air for is this severe thunderstorm warning for Memphis and Shelby County, and that's going to go until 1:15. Damaging wind gusts, certainly a possibility. Heavy rain, lots of lightning, you name it. It's happening with these storms as they roll on through. Again, if you have any reports, if you have anything to share with us, we would love to get that information. We have the mobile app, Local 24. It's totally free. And we have the See It, Send It, Snap It feature. So if you have any damage, if you have a tree limb that's down, anything like that, feel free to shoot us a picture on there. If you can do so safely, please do not go out in the storm to get us pictures. It can wait. But if you do happen to see some damage, please let us know. We'd love to pass that along to the National Weather Service. But again, promising signs here that this storm might be trying to weaken just a little bit. But again, in order for it to weaken, it's got to let all that wind out of there. So still very easily 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts just beginning to move into the northern portion of Shelby County. Millington, Memphis, West Memphis, Marion, you're all next in line for that as it moves on through. I want to step away from this storm for just a minute because we've kind of run this one dry. There's rain, there's wind, there's lightning, you know all that, and you know where it's moving to. Dyersburg getting some of that heavy rain right now, Ripley, Covington, into Munford and Atoka. It still looks like the heaviest part of this storm is what's about to roll through Memphis with some of the gusty wind and the heavy rain, possibly up to 50 miles an hour. So we know what we know about that. Let me take you over to the Little Rock cell because these storms are just maybe a little bit stronger. Now, no one's to say that these aren't going to weaken as they move a little bit closer to us. But some very heavy rain just to the east of Little Rock. And these storms, too, are moving to the east at about 30 miles an hour. And so, coming on 40 from Little Rock to Memphis, you do the math, 30 miles an hour, it's going to take a little bit of time. And so I'm hopeful those will continue to weaken. Again, to calm your nerves, there's no tornado warning on those either. There's nothing overly concerning about those except for the damaging wind gusts and the heavy rain. And it really does not take a tornado to knock down trees, to knock down power lines, and to cause damage once these storms roll through. So we've got storm number 1 that's coming through in the next 30 minutes. And then this might be something to watch a little closer to 2 or 3 this morning as that gets a little bit closer to us. So that's just a heads up for what's to come over the next little bit. But I want to take us back to the storm that we're watching right now that's causing lots of heavy rain and some gusty winds. We're going to go back over to the Memphis radar. That's just going to give us a little bit of a better idea, of what is going on. And I continue to see that little line there. You can see it too, the lighter green. That's where the winds are ahead of the storm, and then that's when the rain is going to hit. I'll say it too, I don't have the lightning counter on. In fact, let me step off and do that. And what this is going to do is kind of give us an idea of how much lightning is happening in the last 30 minutes. And lightning is a phenomenal tool to use to determine if a storm is getting weaker or if it's getting stronger. Let's see if I can get this turned on. So you see right there, 62 strikes of lightning within the last 30 minutes. So that is just an indication that this storm is still packing a punch. There's still plenty of lightning. It's probably going to wake you up, but it's something we'll watch. We'll keep that number up there. And if that number goes up or down, that'll kind of be our judge to see what this storm is going to be doing over the next little bit. Still very, very heavy rain moving into northern Crittenden County. Let's zoom back in and we'll just kind of walk this through once again. Step by step. I'm going to start with our friends in Cross County, Cherry Valley right now, getting in on some of that rain and wind. This part of the storm has more of a southward component, so that's what's going to be moving into wind here in the next little bit. Parkin and Earl, you've probably just gotten the wind. You're about to get the rain. And then we'll move on over to Crittenden County, same thing. And I'll tell you what, that line there, that same line I've been talking about, you're going to be meteorology majors by the end of this. The outflow boundary is what we call that. And the way it's very defined is telling me there's a lot of wind in there because it's picking up a lot of junk off the ground high enough that the radar can see it. Normally these are very small, almost hard to see, but you see how it's so well defined. That tells me that there is definitely some wind in there, and it is picking something up. We'll try our velocity mode once again. You see it on there too. What we're looking at now is the wind mode. We're not looking at the rain, the precip. We're looking at which way the wind is going and how fast it's going. And where you see those brighter colors there just to the south and east of Earl, that's technically just out of the severe thunderstorm warning, but still some very, very fast winds in there. I would not be surprised to see 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts. And to us, that doesn't sound like a lot, but with all the rain we've had in the last day or two, especially in Crittenden and DeSoto counties, that can take down trees easily, that can take down branches easily. We've already had reports of branches down in northeastern Arkansas. So that's why we're on the air making a big fuss about this. It's not to get you riled up. I'm the last person that's going to do that to you. In fact, I'll tell you right now, we're not really watching for tornadoes tonight. We're not concerned about that. Anything can happen. I've learned that. But we're not overly worried about that. I'm worried about storms too. I don't like storms either. This is one we're just going to have to watch. But if you're concerned tonight that, there's a tornado potential, really don't be. Keep an eye on the weather. These storms are strong. They're packing a punch. But we're not overly concerned about anything too crazy in terms of a tornado or anything that like that tonight. What we are going to continue to watch for is some very, very strong wind. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and get our outage map pulled up. Just so we can keep an eye on that, see once those MLG and W outages start coming in, we'll get an idea. Just as a baseline, there's 16 people without power right now. That might just be a normal thing, probably not from what's happened tonight, but we'll see if that number continues to go up as these storms move off to the south and the east. Memphis is dry right now. There's literally nothing going on. It's peaceful, it's quiet, it's a mild, it's a muggy night. We'll take a little bit of a camera tour here and just show around. I want to show you 385 in Kirby over on the Bill Morris Parkway. Things looking good. Folks are out and about. No traffic at this time of night. It's one of the best times to travel. This is when we come into work for the morning shifts here in the news. So we're used to the light traffic here in the mornings. I-40 in Jackson on the North Loop. Probably the same thing. Things are looking good up there. But again, in the next couple of minutes, we're going to see some rain and we're going to see some wind, not only on the North Loop, but through much of Shelby County. I want to see, let's see this camera. This is I-40 at the 101 connector where you get off to go toward Millington and 51. Sometimes they have this pointed up to the sky. These are the TDOT cameras, the Tennessee Department of Transportation. Sometimes they bless us and they point them up to the sky. Right now they're pointing at the road, so that's their job. But we'll keep an eye on this. Sometimes they point them to the sky and we can kind of see some lightning and stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that camera for the next little bit because that is right about there. And that's going to be one of those first areas hit by that very, very strong gust of wind. Millington, you're probably getting it right now. And again, notice that's the wind gust right there. It's about 3 or 4 miles away from the rain. So you're going to get that cold rush of wind that we're used to. You know, things are going to get knocked over. The trash can's probably going to go down the street. And then you're going to get the heavy rain about 5 minutes later. So what I'm worried about is folks in downtown Memphis right now, it's just going to get windy and they're going to keep going about their night. So if you know anybody that's out there right now, tell them to get inside. This is not a basement storm shelter kind of storm. This is just a get inside away from the rain kind of storm, because it's certainly going to pack a punch. You see that line moving through there, and it's continuing to move to the south. It's through Millington now, and it's going to continue to sag down to the south. Let's see. Okay, just a quick update from the National Weather Service in Memphis. Those folks also having a late night tonight. I hope a lot of folks have been able to get some sleep. This is not really a storm we need you to stay up for and monitor the weather. We are under a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather, which is on the lower end of things, but it's still something we want you to keep an eye on. Have a way to get the weather alerts, have a way to be woken up if it is a life-threatening weather situation. But this is just not really one of those things. I want you to take it seriously. I really do. These things can knock down trees. They can knock down power lines. But if you're concerned about trying to go to sleep, if you're concerned about waking up the kids, getting them to the basement, it's really not that kind of thing. I don't want you to get your storm anxiety worked up. I don't want to scare you. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of a heads up for the gusty winds and the heavy rain that are just about to move through the Memphis metro area. Again, I'll say it again. If you have any reports to share with us, if you see a limb down, a shingle down, anything like that, that will help us to pass it along to the National Weather Service so they can keep more people safe. So you can tweet those to me. I'm at Weather Trevor on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook, meteorologist Trevor Birchett. And then you can also send them on our mobile app, Local 24 News. It's free, and you can send those reports and photos right there. Again, please do so safely. We do not want you out in the storm, getting soaking wet just to send us some photos. We can wait for the photos. We want you to be safe first and foremost. But later on tonight, if you see anything, please let us know. Let me move off to the north. I don't want to forget about our friends a little bit further to the north. Some very heavy rain along 51, Munford, Brighton, Atoka, Covington. You're getting all the heavy rain right now. Same story up into Lauderdale County, Ripley, basically all the way along the 51 corridor, all the way up to the north, even into Dyer County, Crockett County. You're next in line for this. Dyersburg, it might be slacking up just a little bit, but it's moving off to the east. And notable here, just in this camera view where we're zoomed in, which includes Dyersburg and northern Lauderdale County, no strikes of lightning. That's fantastic news. And that's what I was telling you a second ago. We're going to watch that lightning count and see if it wants to go down. And it looks like it's trying to. And we've been telling you, I think these storms are really trying to weaken, but we're going to stay with you as long as we need to until this warning is in effect. Again, that warning goes until 1:15 for a whole slew of counties. If you're watching us in western Tennessee, you're probably under that severe thunderstorm warning right now. Let me zoom out. Let's just name them off. Lauderdale, Crockett, Haywood, Tipton, Shelby, including the city of Memphis, and much of Fayette County. Also, Crittenden County in eastern Arkansas under this severe thunderstorm warning until 1:15. But I'll say the part that's in the warning is really falling apart, folks. Look at that. I mean, you're seeing greens and yellows. The wind is going to do it to you, but this storm is really, really trying to collapse. The part that I'm really still watching, and I might be a little more concerned about for the gusty wind potential, is in Shelby County and Crittenden County right now. Very heavy rain, just about to cross over into Earl, east of Earl and Crittenden County. And you see several more strikes of lightning on this side of the storm. 6 strikes of lightning just in this camera view in the last 30 minutes. That's lower than it was, but it's still an indication that this storm is still trying. It probably does not have much energy left in it. This thing has been going since like Springfield, Missouri. So imagine you're on a jog, you're kind of out of breath. That's kind of what this storm is doing right now. It's run its race. It's out of energy bars. It's just kind of letting everything go. It doesn't have the energy to keep going, and it's letting out that breath of air that's kind of its last goodbye. So when you see that line there, that outflow boundary of wind, it's a good idea that the storm is weakening, but again, it's got to get the wind out first, and that's the worst part, is when the storm starts to collapse, it lets all of its wind go. And that's what causes the damage. Again, coming into Marion right now in the next couple of minutes. In fact, we can measure this for you, and I can give you an idea of exactly how far away that is from Marion. I don't think I have the measuring tool on my toolbar, but I mean, that's about 3 miles from Marion up to the north, just north of there. So that's moving down to the south. That's coming through Shelby Forest right now. Fraser and Raleigh, you're going to get some gusty winds here in the next little bit. Stay away from those windows. If you have loose branches in the yard, get away from the backyard, get closer to the center of the house, just in case one of those trees is a little loose and some branches come down. Again, this is not a tornado situation, but these wind gusts of 50 to 60 miles an hour can still do the trick in terms of the very heavy wind and the potential for damage. Still no official outages reported on the MLG and W outage map, which is fantastic news. We'll keep an eye on that. And of course, if you lose power, you can let us know that too. It might be a little quicker than the actual MLG and W outage map. There's probably about a 10-minute delay on that. But again, these storms moving off to the south, and that's going to be into the city of Memphis in the next little bit. Let's put another track on this just to give you an idea. If you're trying to call your friends, let them know what's going on. I'm going to just kind of track this whole line of storms here. And again, it's moving to the east and southeast about 40 miles an hour, something like that. Let's shoot for that. So Marion, it's moving into your area right now. As I mentioned, that gusty wind is just a few minutes away. About 5 minutes, you're going to get that gust of wind. West Memphis by about 106. Arlington and Lakeland by about 106, 107. Memphis by 113. Now that's downtown Memphis. East Memphis is going to be a little bit different timing, but that's a good idea. If you're out on Beale Street right now, if you know somebody that is, if you know somebody that is out and maybe not paying attention to the weather, let them know, hey, by 113, it is going to come a gully washer with some gusty winds in downtown. Again, this is not a tornado situation. I want to keep reiterating that because a lot of times folks see us on TV and they jump to worst case scenario. So let me reiterate, we are not on the air for a tornado right now. We're not concerned about tornadoes tonight, but gusty winds and heavy rain are still going to be a potential. And again, this storm into Bartlett, into our neck of the woods here at Local 24 by about 114, and then Oakland into Fayette County by about 121. I will say I think the storm is really going to be falling apart by then, which is some good news. We've got about 20 minutes left on this severe thunderstorm warning. We're going to stay with you as long as it's in effect. But just as a heads up to the folks watching in master control and closed captioning, probably about 20 more minutes left on this, assuming it's not reissued, which I don't think it will be. Another thing I can show you, let's see if I have it in here. I'm really concerned about the potential for some flash flooding. And that's really been an issue for the last several days, is all the flash flooding, all the heavy rain. We had like 7 inches of rain down in DeSoto County. And this storm is still packing some very, very heavy rain. This is in the last 6 hours. Take a look at some of these totals. The heaviest of the rain up in Craighead County and Jonesboro. I mean, we're talking about 1 to 2 inches of rain in the last 6 hours. The drainage systems just really cannot handle that. And I mean, even down into Cross and St. Francis counties and Poinsett counties, about a ½ an inch. And keep in mind, it's still raining down here. So once we switch over to our rainfall intensity mode, that's going to show you where some of the heaviest rain is. It's just going to isolate it. So down there in Poinsett County, Harrisburg area, some very heavy rain down there. And that's all going to be moving down to the south and to the east, again at about 40 miles an hour. I want to future scan this, and what this is going to do is move the storm an hour in the future. So now we're at 1:56 a.m. And this is an estimation of where the radar thinks the storm is going to be. So it's got that main storm in Shelby County still, and then that storm over in Forest City in St. Francis County, that's the storm in Little Rock that I was talking about. That's got the very heavy rain and the gusty winds as well. So that storm is going to be another storm that, you know, just after 2 a.m., 3 a.m., could bring some very heavy rain and some gusty winds into northern DeSoto County and southern Shelby County. On this track, it almost looks like it'd go directly for the airport area, Whitehaven. So heads up, if this storm doesn't get you, you might have another storm to deal with some gusty winds a little bit later. But that's just an idea. Again, this is an hour in the future, 1:57 a.m. That storm still impacting Shelby County, and another storm to watch that is popping into St. Francis County by about that time. Let's switch back over to the Memphis Radar and just get an idea of what is going on. Again, if you're just joining us, you're watching WATN TV Memphis. You are watching severe weather coverage. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for Memphis and the Mid-South. I'm meteorologist Trevor Birchett. We're going to get through this storm together. Nothing too crazy, nothing we've never seen before. We're used to the summertime storms in the Mid-South. This one is certainly no different. Still promising signs here that this storm is really starting to weaken. We've almost got, not much rain at all. It's still raining, don't get me wrong, but compared to what it was earlier, that is really nothing there. And when you see it start to fan out, that's, more really good news. About 9 strikes of lightning in the last 30 minutes. That means there's been about 3 in the last 5 or 10, but still very heavy rain continuing to fall. That's going to be into Haywood County and Brownsville in the next little bit. Some more indications of some very strong wind, and then some wind still coming through Crittenden and Shelby County for the next little bit. National Weather Service update, they're going to continue the severe thunderstorm warning until 1:15. Severe thunderstorms were located along the line from Belle Eagle to Arlington to Sunset, moving southeast at about 40 miles an hour. And again, this storm continues to move off to the south and east at a pretty good clip. And that is some good news. The quicker it moves, the less energy it has, the quicker it will just fall apart. And again, encouraging signs that that line is still outrunning the storm, because whenever you see that, it means the storm is weakening, and hopefully it will continue to do so over the next little bit. So very heavy rain, gusty winds moving down to the south. Again, Memphis, you've got about 15 to 20 minutes, at least downtown Memphis, before this storm rolls on through and brings you some gusty winds and heavy rain. I want to focus back on our storm that's just coming out of the Little Rock area. In fact, we'll switch over to the Little Rock radar. That's going to give us just a little bit of a better view of what is going on. And notice these storms have a lot more lightning with them. 100 strikes of lightning just in this camera view in the last 30 minutes. So right there along I-40, coming into St. Francis County, Forest City, and then that's just storm number 1. We've got this other storm back to the west that's just outside of the local 24 viewing area. That's coming out of Little Rock, and they're going to kind of follow up I-40 right into the Memphis metro area. Will they maintain their strength? Great question. I don't think so. I think over the next little bit, these things will start to weaken. But we'll have to watch them. I can tell you the storm that's about to move into Memphis right now is on a weakening trend. These look to be a little bit stronger, and these are some storms we're going to have to watch. Just to give you an idea, we've got severe thunderstorm warnings back here. That's going to be until 1:15 for that cell, and then some more gusty winds coming into Stuttgart also until 1:15. So it's going to be interesting to see here. All these warnings expire in about 15 minutes. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do with these warnings, if they want to continue them, or if they agree with me that they're starting to weaken a little bit and they can do without the warning. Still no reports of damage, which is fantastic news. These storms can certainly do some damage. I don't want you to think they can't. I keep telling you these are not tornadoes. These are not storms that are producing tornadoes. But they can still do damage. A 50-mile-an-hour wind gust takes a branch down, hits a power line, the whole block is without power. And so that is a common issue here in Memphis, is what happens with these summertime storms is they can very easily knock out power for portions of the Mid-South. But again, the reason we're with you this evening is because we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Shelby County and the city of Memphis. It's also going to go for Crittenden, Fayette, Tipton, Lauderdale, Haywood. It looks like Crockett and Dyer counties, at least the southern sliver of Dyer County maybe. We've got all that information down at the bottom of your screen as well. But these storms more so now moving off to the south and east at about 40 miles an hour. I want to put a track on the whole thing, not just what's going into Memphis, because we don't want to forget our friends, up in Haywood County and Brownsville. And again, the heavy wind, the strong wind is going to come out first. That's in a really bad spot. I can't see what speed I did, but we'll estimate this here. The speed was right behind me. So let's see, Brownsville by about 105, Bartlett by 108, West Memphis by 109, and then Memphis would be off that chart. But again, we keep saying about 115 for downtown Memphis. Now again, that's for the strong winds. That's not for the heavy rain. The rain is going to be upwards of 5 minutes behind the very, very strong winds that are coming through in excess of 50 to 60 miles an hour. Just got a notification, some lightning detected within about 15 miles of my location, which is at I-40 and Sycamore View. So there is some lightning just starting to move into the city of Memphis. So now's the time. When thunder roars, go indoors. That's our favorite slogan to say, that and turn around, don't drown. It's like going to be on meteorologist tombstones one day. That's all they say, it seems like. But seriously, if you hear thunder, it's time to go inside, because if you hear thunder, that means you're close enough to be struck by lightning. Even if it's not raining, you're still close enough to be struck. And I'm hopeful that many folks are not outside, but it is Saturday night in Memphis. I know folks are going to be out late. So again, if you've got friends, family, aunts, uncles, anybody that you know might be downtown or midtown, give them a call and just let them know you've got about 10 minutes before some very strong wind and about 20 minutes until some very, very heavy rain. Still getting a lot of lightning notifications. So again, what I told you, we're going to monitor that lightning and see if the storm is going up or if it's going down. 44 strikes of lightning. A lot of that might be from that storm down there in St. Francis County. You see in this batch, it's only 14. So that lightning count continues to go up and down just a little bit, but it still looks to me like most of that lightning is on the back edge of that storm coming into northern Crittenden County, southeastern Poinsett and southern Mississippi County, moving down to the south. Again, that little outflow boundary did come out of that storm, but it might take just a little bit for that storm to actually react and start to weaken just a little bit. Since that seems to be the point of interest right now, I'm going to zoom into that and just kind of give you a little bit of a tour. Again, if you're Earl, Parkin, you're about to get into some heavy rain. Crawfordsville, it looks to me like that gust of wind just came through your location. Same with about I-55 near the Marion Way Station exit. And then again, notice that heavy rain is up in Clarkdale. So it's going to take it a minute to get down to Marion. But just know when that gust of wind hits, you got about 5 minutes before the rain comes. So now's the time to wrap up those activities, get inside. We've got a party. Move it indoors. That's all I can say. Get away from the windows just in case one of those branches happens to fall. Strong winds right now coming into Fraser and into Raleigh in the next little bit, and the rain just now starting to move into Millington as well. Let's see. It looks like the National Weather Service is going to let the severe thunderstorm warning go at 1:15, which is what we expected. National Weather Service, Mike Johnson, great folks over there working off Walnut Grove this evening, making sure everybody's staying safe. They're saying the winds are below severe limits, which is about 55 to 60 miles an hour. No severe reports, which is fantastic, and all of the weather stations are reporting winds below 45 miles an hour, which is technically not enough for a severe thunderstorm warning. It can still do damage. It can still knock the trees down. It can still knock the power lines down, especially with, like what I said, all the heavy rain that we've had in the last little bit. But again, a severe thunderstorm warning will continue for much of western Tennessee and portions of Crittenden County until 1:15. So we've got about 10 minutes that we're going to stay with you. And let's see, again, folks are agreeing that little cell back to Little Rock is the one that we're really going to have to watch. And you can just see, like, again, I keep saying this, it does not take a meteorologist or a meteorology degree to tell you which storm is stronger right now. This just kind of looks loose and ragged. This is really where the brighter colors are, east of Little Rock, just getting ready to cross into St. Francis County. There's no warning on that right now, at least for our counties in the local 24 area, but I would not be surprised at all to see one issued. Let's zoom in here and let's just investigate these a little bit while we're here. Again, we've got about 10 more minutes to spare, so I want to keep you updated here. If you're traveling 40 from Brinkley, Forest City, you might just not want to do it right now. Blinding rain. Incredible lightning. I imagine there's an incredible lightning show happening right now. If you're looking off to the east from Forest City, across the ridge, I imagine it looks fantastic out there right now with all that lightning. Please don't go outside. Stay inside, but I'm just telling you, imagine that the lightning is really crazy out there between Forest City and Brinkley. And you see the blinking strikes there? Those are strikes that are just happening as we're speaking. So a strengthening storm here, moving off to the north and the east. Let's zoom in just a little bit tighter. We'll do some radar analysis here. Just try to get a better idea of exactly what's going on with this storm. Again, weekly, Palestine into Forest City, that is where this storm is. And again, we don't have a warning on this right now, but it's strong enough. I just kind of want to investigate and just see what's going on. You know, winds still, they're okay, 30, 40 mile an hour gusts likely, but the heavy rain and the lightning is really, really piquing my interest. This is our rotation detector. Typically, we'd show you this in a tornado situation. I'm just showing you this to show you. This is like the weakest of the weak on the rotation detector. So again, just a reminder, if you're worried about tornadoes, not tonight. Keep an eye on it, but as of right now, these storms are just not showing the signs that we would need for a tornado potential, and I don't think the ingredients are there for it. What we'll do, though, we'll go back to the radar. And again, that storm, lots of lightning. And keep in mind, lightning is very dangerous too. So Forest City, Palestine, eastern Arkansas, time to be inside is about right now. And this is the storm we're really going to have to watch over the next little bit. Let's put a storm track on this and just give you an idea exactly how long that's going to take to get into Memphis. It's moving about 40 miles an hour, so that's going to put it into Hughes by 1:43 and then eventually across the river. So I would imagine this storm could be affecting Memphis just after 2 o'clock, probably in about an hour from now, we'll be having to deal with this storm in Memphis as well. So the question is, what happens when these two storms kind of come together? Now, it's not going to make some mega storm like you might think, but the storms can kind of interact with each other in weird ways where one can kind of kill the other one or one can kind of take the energy from one and one dissipates. So it's just going to be interesting to see. What I would venture would happen is that outflow boundary that I was talking about can almost be used as some energy for that storm. And so that could actually increase the wind speeds out of that storm as it's coming up I-40 into Memphis, DeSoto, and Tunica counties in the next little bit. There's no warning on that right now. It's something we're going to be watching carefully. but I imagine that would be something that we'll have to keep an eye on once this warning expires. Again, we've got about 7 more minutes left on this severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for the city of Memphis, but just giving you a heads up of what is coming on down the line over the next little bit. Let's see if we've got any official storm tracks on that. And you know, nothing on that. They have these automated storm tracks that kind of give us an idea where the strongest storms are, and none are showing up. So that's a promising sign that it's not detecting anything strong enough to give us an automated storm track. While we're here, and I've kind of given you all the rundown I can, let me show you our severe weather alerts right now. Again, we've got that severe thunderstorm warning for Shelby, Fayette, Crittenden, Haywood, Tipton, Lauderdale, and Crockett counties. That's going to go until 1:15. And then we've got this other severe thunderstorm coming out of Little Rock that's going to be possibly impacting places like St. Francis, Lee, Forest City, possibly into the city of Memphis within about the next hour. Notice no tornado warnings. Don't expect them, but still some very, very strong winds just out of that line. The hour-by-hour forecast shows us that we are really going to keep the storms around here for the next little bit. We're going to keep, you know, a 70 to 80% chance of storms through about 6 or 7 a.m. So church tomorrow morning, rain possibly when you're going out, but I think maybe by morning brunch we're looking a little bit better, 10 or 11 a.m., maybe a little drier. And then tomorrow afternoon, we've got the chance for some more pop-up storms. Nothing like this, but about a 50-50 shot at some pop-up showers and storms. And while we're here, we'll go ahead and give you that 7-day forecast just in case you missed it on the news at 10. Some afternoon storms by Monday. And then also on Tuesday, and then we're looking a lot drier Wednesday and Thursday into the low 90s. Still some pop-up summertime storms possible, but nothing crazy, nothing like what we're seeing today. And then another chance of some pop-up storms, unfortunately, just in time for next weekend. Bottom line is we're staying hot and humid. Storms, they'll remain possible for the next little bit. National Weather Service is putting out what they call a significant weather advisory for these storms, and that is one step below a severe thunderstorm warning. That's just saying, hey, there's some gusty winds in here. There could be a little damage, but it's not enough to put an official severe thunderstorm warning on. And you can see, again, folks, this is really trying to fall apart, especially what's in Tennessee right now. Munford, Atoka, you're still getting some very heavy rain, but it's just nothing like what we saw a little bit ago. I'll put another lapse on it and show you the last hour. See how bright those colors were about an hour ago at about 12:15, and then they crossed the river, and it just kind of, okay, so that was really nothing. And hopefully that trend continues. Hopefully we let this warning expire and we don't have to be on air again for the rest of the night. But what I'm still continuing to keep an eye on is what's back here in Crittenden County right now. And it almost looks like that is trying to even weaken just a little bit, which again, fantastic news. The quicker we can all go home and the quicker you folks can get some sleep. But again, strong winds, heavy rain still possible over the next little bit here in the city of Memphis, even if this warning expires. That line of gusty winds right now along the north leg of the 40 loop. So Raleigh, Fraser, coming into Bartlett, Lakeland, you're going to get some gusty winds here in the next little bit. And now would be a great time to check out that camera that's on I-40 in Jackson. Let's check that out really quick because that's going to be about where those winds are coming through right now. And you can see the camera bob in just a little bit. Those cameras are pretty secure. So when they're bobbing, you know there's some wind. Now, I'm not going to try to estimate the wind gust from the way the camera is shaking, but that just verifies that that little line I've been telling you about is producing some gusty winds. Notice it's not raining yet. That's what I was telling you. The rain's going to come 5 to 10 minutes after the wind. But at least as of right now, traffic flowing smoothly on the north leg of the 40 loop, no problems, but it is a little bit gusty, probably some leaves crossing the road, maybe a few branches as that line comes through. Again, if you're just joining us, and I did that again, I hit that button that cleared everything out. So you'll excuse me while I get everything loaded back on here. First time working with this fancy little touchscreen thing, so you'll bear with me. That line I've been talking about, you can kind of see it right there. If you're just joining us, that's what we were calling the outflow boundary. And that's going to be the gust of wind that could produce a little bit of damage and some, shingle damage, tree damage as it comes on through. And that is going to continue to sink to the south over the next little bit. I'm going to put one more storm track on this because we've got about 3 more minutes, and folks in master control and closed captioning will be done with this at 1:15. So here in about 3 minutes. But before I let you go, we'll put one more track on this. And again, I'm tracking the wind. I'm not tracking the rain because the wind is the problem area here. And again, that's going to be just about, let's see there, about 40 miles an hour. Let's see, don't know what that's doing. Okay, there we go. So Germantown about 130, South Haven by 141. If it holds together, that is about where that wind would be. And again, that's going to put it into downtown Memphis here in the next little bit. So we're going to let you go here in about 2 minutes when this warning expires, assuming they don't issue another one. But this is your final heads up. Downtown Memphis, midtown Memphis, anywhere in the city, you're going to get some gusty winds here soon. And then shortly thereafter, you're going to get those very, very heavy rain, lightning, wind gusts, that kind of thing. And then we'll just transition into some nice light rain, some perfect sleeping weather. Hopefully for the rest of the night, we do not have to deal with any more severe weather. Let me zoom you out to one final view of the area. And this will just show you kind of a big picture view of what we're tracking here. I told you at 10, we had two little systems we were watching. This is the one that's coming through right now. For all intents and purposes, it is falling apart. So what's coming into Memphis right now is kind of collapsing on itself. There's still some gusty wind. There's still some very heavy rain in there, but it is really trying to tone down just a little bit. And I think soon enough, I think by the time this gets over into Mississippi, we're not going to have to be concerned about it other than some heavy rain. So I don't want you folks in Mississippi to say I'm forgetting about you, because I'm from Mississippi. I lived in South Haven. Don't want you to say I'm forgetting about you. I'm just telling you, once it crosses down there, it's not going to be severe anymore. We won't have to be concerned about it. What I'm going to continue to watch here, and I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to be here in the studio for the next several hours watching this. What we're going to keep an eye on is these storms training along I-40 into eastern Arkansas. That could certainly bring some more heavy rain and gusty winds into the Memphis metro area within about the next hour. And you see lots of lightning with that between Forest City, Brinkley, and Carlisle, even into Lone Oak in central Arkansas, closer to Little Rock. So again, that severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Shelby, Tipton, Lauderdale, Dyer, you name it, western Tennessee counties, it is going to be allowed to expire here in about 15 seconds. And so we're going to let you get back to your regularly scheduled programming here on ABC. But again, just as one quick reminder, heavy rain and gusty winds into the city of Memphis within about the next 10 minutes or so. And then we're going to keep an eye on this batch of storms that's coming out of Arkansas. That is eventually going to bring some more heavy rain and gusty winds, possibly into northern Mississippi and into Shelby County closer to 2 p.m. So I'm meteorologist Trevor Birchett for the local storm team. Thank you for staying up with us late on this Saturday night and early Sunday morning. I'm going to keep updates coming. Facebook, Twitter, @WeatherTrevor. Again, download that free Local 24 News app for Apple and Android. We'll send you a weather alert if another one is issued. For now, we're going to send you back to regular programming.